Hey, what's going on, kids? And welcome to Kicker Rock's podcast, Two Drink Minimum. Do you like Star Wars? Well, then you are going to love this episode because we're talking everything Star Wars in this one. And specifically, we're breaking it down from the three eras of Star Wars: the original trilogy, the prequels, and the modern timeline. What our favorite films are in each of those. So sit back, relax, have a drink with us, and enjoy. And gentlemen, present.
Hola.
Cheers, everybody. Welcome to Kicker Rock's podcast, Two Drink Minimum. I'm Bill Miller.
Sergio Torres.
James Malloy.
Tony Marino.
And today we're talking Star Wars.
What's Star Wars?
What is Star Wars? Well, I'm glad you asked, JT.
It was a 1980s defense system that Ronald Reagan was very interested in.
Oh,
I
that's
enjoy
Star Wars.
my Star Wars. Anyway, so we're the episode 9 coming out later this year. At the end of the year, The Rise of Skywalker is maybe one of the most anticipated films in a long time to happen. I think we had Endgame earlier this year, no doubt, but Star Wars is Star Wars, and nobody can wait for episode 9. We all want to see it. We've seen some trailers and sneak peeks already. Everyone's terribly excited about it, so we decided let's talk about the franchise as a whole, namely the Star Wars saga. So we're going to talk about those films in particular, and we're going to go through each era and discuss which film in each era is our favorite. So just to break that down really quick, we're going to go from the original 3, episodes 4, 5, and 6. We'll go to the prequels, episodes 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to go to the 4 Star Wars films that have happened recently. We're going to go with episodes 7, 8, and then Solo and Rogue One. So we're going to decide which of those era are our favorite films and why. We're going to talk about it, maybe have a discussion.
It's pronounced Rouge One.
Rouge One, sorry. Rouge One.
Might be a typo.
It could be a typo. I'm sure it was. So to get things started, we're going to start out with the original 3, episodes 4, 5, and 6. Who wants to get things going here? Pretty sure, I don't know. Are we all going to have the same answer? We might not. There's a lot of people like a certain episode of that one.
All right.
They think it's the best.
Here's something that happens to me a lot when I get older and don't watch these movies all the time is that they all start to blend together. And it's like, man, I really like the original Star Wars because I do.
Should we break it down? So we've got episode 4.
I'm well aware of what they are.
Do you know what they are?
It's
Okay.
me remembering them and going, wait, did that happen in the first, second, or third one? But
Fair enough.
I would say that this is Tony. I'm going to go ahead and just vote for the first one because that's the one I probably think that I remember the most as one put together story.
Okay.
It introduces all of the major players that you're going to see throughout the rest of them. And spoiler alert, they fucking blow up the Death Star. So like that's like
It's a good
that
ending.
was a pretty great ending.
It's a good
you know what I
ending.
mean? So it was like you had
That might repeat itself later on, but
all
whatever.
the major
It's a good
players,
ending.
good versus evil. All right,
Yeah.
not only is Luke good at this, but he's also a really good fighter pilot and TIE fighter, and he, blew up the Death Star just like shooting womp rats out in the swamp or whatever it was.
There it is.
So yeah, so that would be my vote.
That's my vote too, actually.
Yeah, like that's the one I think that I remember the best as a kid watching it.
Yeah.
I also have a super affection for God, what are their names right now? They did the little spin-off Battle of Endor that was terrible. Ewoks. Oh my God. Like anything with Ewoks when I was a kid, I thought was like
spin-offs.
there were so many things.
I
like
remember-
Drew Barrymore was in like the Battle of Endor or something. I think.
I remember Ewoks before I remembered
Star Wars.
Yeah. Like,
It
you know what
could
I
be
mean?
that
Like,
you
really?
saw one
Yeah.
of those
Like,
wow.
before you saw the other.
Exactly. As a real little kid, I remembered the Ewoks, but like I didn't really get into Star Wars, like really into it until like junior high.
Okay.
My
know?
cousin had
So like the mid 90s.
my cousin was like 4 or 5 years older than me, and he had Star Wars toys at his house. And I always remember playing with those when I was over there, but didn't realize who they were until I'd gotten older and started like watching the movies more.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
but I think we had a similar path because I grew up watching the Indiana Jones movies like
For sure.
constantly.
Yep.
But I didn't wear out a Star Wars VHS as a little kid You
As
know what I
much
mean?
as-
Like
right,
as much as I did when like by the time I was 13 or something, like that's when I started to like, oh, this is what I was missing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
So I don't know.
And like that's not to say that the other two aren't great because they are.
Oh, all of them.
But man, I don't know. The first one, I guess, just sort of sticks with me. There's so many other things that happen in 2 and 3, or 5 and 6, that are like iconic, and you remember those scenes and those things that happen. But I don't know. I'm just gonna go ahead and pick the first one. So New Hope.
There's no, in my opinion, for the original
No.
3, there's really no wrong
no
answer
answer.
for 4, 5, and 6. There's not. But
You
go
know,
on.
it's weird. The reason I picked that the first one is because it's like that was the game changer for Hollywood. You know what I mean? That was like this super mega ridiculous blockbuster. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and that's like kind of what changed movies in general.
For A New Hope, you're talking about
Yeah.
that one, right? Okay.
And it's like, it was a self-contained story. Like
Yeah.
George Lucas didn't think he was going to make sequels. You know what I mean? Like he has millions of stories. You know, like as like a weirdo director does about like what he planned to do and what versions of what scripts. He's like, oh, it was going to be 9 episodes. Oh, it was going to be this. Oh, this is. I always planned this to be
I
the
knew
middle.
from the beginning it was going to be 9 episodes.
Yeah, so it's like stuff like that. Kermit.
I wrote episode.
First of all, George Lucas is Kermit, okay? That voice is, come on.
But
We didn't have the technology, so I just wrote episode 4 first.
Wait, he's turning into fucking Ray right now.
but I'm
You
saying,
watch an interview with George Lucas and you tell me I'm way off. You tell me then. Go on, GG. Sorry.
but it's like he, it's like he says all these things, but at the end of the day, what he wrote and what he made was just like a adventure serial inspired thing, like Raiders of the Lost Ark, that was like supposed to be one and done, you know? And like it was like they win at the end. There's a ceremony. Space Hitler is dead, and his henchmen, who's Darth Vader, because Darth Vader was not a major player in that. You know,
Right.
like not in the sense that Tarkin was. He just flies off like, "I'll get you guys later," and it's like, you know, like. So I don't know. It's like that was supposed to be just one movie. So there was no Darth Vader as his dad
Right.
whatsoever.
Right.
You know, it's like you had to take it at face value. It's like he told him, "Your dad died," you know, like, and this guy killed him. You know
I
what
didn't
mean?
have to take it. When I was watching it, it was there. All 3 of them existed. In my universe, they were all there. No, but I get what you're saying.
I'm
Like,
saying I had to unlearn that.
now, do you
know what I
think?
mean?
Well, yeah, but this is the first that I'm hearing of that is from you right now. So, like, was it like a cash grab
Yes,
where it was like, this is super successful?
absolutely.
Let me. That being said, they're still really good, and
Yeah,
normally,
exactly.
cash grabs aren't.
See, this is what I always said, like, if George Lucas made Star Wars 2, you know what I mean? And like it was just like another adventure starring those characters. It was like, oh, Han and Leia and Luke are solving the mystery of the ghost of this planet or whatever.
Stop
you know what I mean?
doing this.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Is like if they just had another adventure, they would do that a couple of times and the novelty would wear off.
Yeah.
But suddenly Lucas comes along and he says, all right, well, I've got this as the middle of this saga. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't even know this, but when that movie came out in 1977, like none of us were alive.
I was one.
But so you wouldn't remember this, but it was not called A New Hope.
It was just Star Wars.
It was just Star
Yep.
Wars. In the opening crawl, there was no episode for A New Hope.
Nope.
That was added later when it was re-released in theaters right before Empire Strikes Back came out. So it's like it was never a saga,
Yeah.
you know,
The
until
original
it
Star
made
Wars was
money.
Just Star
It
Wars.
wasn't a saga until it was a saga.
Until it made money.
I didn't know that. I thought it was always episode 4.
Nope.
Yeah,
Wow.
'cause it was originally. I've got a shirt that just says Star Wars, and it's the old school. It's the old school artwork where he's holding up his lightsaber, and it's
So all this-
super epic
so
and
all
also
this-
super 70s.
All the shit that I've heard about Lucas knew and he started with episode 4 on purpose, that's a lie, you're saying?
You can't believe anything that guy says because there's 50
I don't know,
different versions
GT.
of
I
it.
mean, I thought
There's 50 different versions of it, and they're all
Yeah.
contradictory. You know what I mean?
Understood. I love that. I love that. Okay, good.
So, but
I like that version better where let's change it to that later.
Right, but
Make it make sense.
That being
But
said,
I'm also like I'm a fan of Star Wars, the
Sure.
movie that came out in 1977. But I'm also a fan of A New Hope, the movie that connects to all the others, because I do like it. I do love that. Like, it is a major retcon. And It is a cash grab, but it was probably the world's greatest cash grab because it gave us this big universe
It did.
instead of just like diminishing returns.
well, yeah, everything about it,
Yeah.
this universe has been great, except maybe 1 through 3. But
Maybe.
We'll get there.
There might be a gem or a few gems in there. We'll see.
Anyway, it's also the most quotable, and like
The first one?
yeah. And there's like not that much melodrama. It's like everybody yelling at each other. You know what I mean?
Ah,
That's what I always love the high energy of that movie. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like, you know, oh, the Wookiee race of this planet is so elegant and blah, blah. It's just like Leia's like, get this walking carpet out of my way. They're all bickering at each other.
fair enough.
They're all
Fair enough.
angry and like they're all like have their own agenda. It's
I
just,
would-
it's fun. It's the most fun of all of them.
That's fine. I would disagree with the. No, you know what? I agree with most quotable, maybe most quotes, but best quotes. I would disagree. I would
Oh,
say my pick would be Empire Strikes Back.
There you go for Yoda.
Was that
You going for Yoda?
Yoda has some of the best quotes? There is no try and stuff.
Right. I love you, I know.
Yes, I love you. I know that is. I do that to my wife all the time. If she's listening, she'll tell you that it's true. She'll say, "Okay, bye. The work. I love you," and I go, "I know." Why? Because I'm a Solo guy. Never was about the Skywalker. Never. Solo to me is the hero of the story. That's just my thing. We'll talk about Force Awakens later and why it's a shitty movie. Anyway, but that's that. No, I am your father. Maybe the most quotable and often misquoted line of the whole.
Oh,
entire
that's true.
series.
It's not Luke, I am your
Right.
father.
It's
It
not
is
never
no,
Luke,
I
I'm your father. It's no, I'm your father. Right. I think those are the maybe biggest quotes that we've heard. Most quotable, sure. You can look at episode 4, no doubt, and that's a great movie, and that starts the whole thing. And those arguments are definitely there. Empire Strikes Back for me is just a great continuation. It's a great. It doubles down on everything that was great about the first film, in my opinion. I think it just takes that Star Wars mythology and takes it to the next level in Empire Strikes Back. And then that twist at the end is up there, with Vader being Anakin Skywalker is up there with you could put that up there with any twist of any movie ever.
Right.
In my opinion, it's one of the biggest twists of all time. And man, I wish I was around at the time to not know that, to see it for the first time and not know it, because I don't remember seeing that twist for the first time, because I think the first time I saw that film, I think the twist was already out there and I might have already heard it, and I was young and I didn't know, and it didn't impact me as much.
It was always like a
but
given.
man, I wish I was old enough to not know that twist and go to the theater and see that for the first time and be like, what?
Right.
I actually think the first time I might have heard that twist might have been from that Simpsons episode where Homer is in line, right? And he goes, "Who would have thought that Darth Vader was Luke Skywalker's father?"
Mr.
And they're like,
Blew
you blew it for us. That might have been the first time I even heard that, before I even saw that movie. I don't know. I can't remember, and that's the point, I guess.
Tommy Boy talking to the
Right.
I know.
Right, I'm your father, right? So it just became this pop culture reference that everybody knew. It was no longer a twist if you hadn't seen the movie before then, But that being said, you get Lando. Lando's in there. You get the Sky City's in there. It's a little bit darker than it's a lot bit darker probably than especially the first one. And at that time, I think that was a risky move, and I really like that movie ends not on a high note. The good guys didn't necessarily win at the end of that film, and I think that was a risky move to do too. And I really love that. I love that Luke finally gets his Jedi training in. He finally gets it. It's tough to top Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan. I still love that as the ultimate mentor. But the Muppet Yoda, pretty damn cool. in that segment. I do
literal
love that.
Muppet. You know that quote in Clerks. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
it's like all Jedi had was a bunch of Muppets. I'm like, really, Kevin Smith?
Really?
Empire Strikes Back had Miss Piggy. Like it was just Frank Oz.
Frank Oz.
Straight up doing Miss Piggy's voice.
Pretty much. Yeah. Yeah. Just it was doing Piggy, but like speaking backwards. Then you get Yoda, right? Yeah. JT, correct.
Kirby. You know?
Yeah, it's the same thing. But yeah, for me, that's my pick for those reasons. I think it took what was great about episode 4 and it doubled down on it. And it has to this day, I think still the best quotes in any Star Wars movie. Maybe not the most, but the best. So that's why that's my pick.
There's I always thought if Empire Strikes Back came out today, Twitter would explode with anger. You know what I mean? It
Sure.
was like, what is this father bullshit? And like, since when could he lift things with the Force? You know what I mean? Like, instead of just lightly changing people's minds or
Yeah.
whatever. You know, like now it's full on levitation. Where did this come from? You know what I mean? It's
Well,
like,
true. There's its loopholes. Mark Hamill tells a story where he wasn't allowed to tell anybody that, and not a lot of people knew that twist, and it wasn't in fact written in the script.
that's right, yeah.
And that Harrison Ford didn't know about it until he saw the film.
It was supposed to be like, what was the line?
And
that
at the premiere-
they told everybody was Obi-Wan killed him or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how we got the no, that's impossible.
Right.
Like not even he knew it until I think maybe Lucas pulled him aside and told him.
Yeah.
And Hamill's like, are you joking? Are you serious about this? Anyway, but Hamill tells a story in an interview, and I forget where he's at. It's some con. I don't know if it's Comic-Con, but it's some kind of con, I think. There's a panel going on, and he tells a story about Harrison Ford didn't know this twist until he saw the premiere. So, they all see it, and then Harrison Ford comes up to him, and Hamill does his Harrison Ford impression. He goes like, hey, kid, you didn't tell me about this or whatever. Something like that, like you didn't know or whatever. How could you not tell me? So it's kind of funny to think that not even Harrison Ford or some of the other major actors knew that Darth Vader was Luke's father until they saw the movie come out. That's wild. That's how you now maybe you couldn't do that. Now it'll be out on Twitter. There'd be a leak or something, right? I don't know.
Or at the first screening, it would explode, and you know what I mean?
Right,
Spoilers.
there would already be like a spoiler alert,
Right.
and then right under spoiler alert, you see the
You
title.
literally have to stay off Facebook until you
Mhm.
saw this, because that's what happens to a lot of movies now.
It does.
That's the difference about movies back then that had big twists and turns, and
Yeah.
now when a new movie comes out, we're all in fear of. We're all like, "Do you have your phone for 3 days?" You know what I mean? Or like, "Oh, I'm
Yeah.
gonna turn off my Facebook because there's always some asshole."
Oh, if you're not going to see it
Who
right
wants to put it
away,
out. Oh, yeah.
ugh.
You know what Empire had the best of? The best score. John Williams, kills it as always, and he's kind of the reason that it's one of many reasons that Star Wars succeeded instead of ended up looking like some crappy B movie. Was like
Yeah,
saved
that
in the
score is
editing room
phenomenal.
and saved with the score,
Yes.
and just being fun. But like the asteroid scene in Empire, that can still give you chills if you watch it. I love that whole sequence, and I love that music.
He is good. He is good, absolutely. Sergio?
I'm just echoing pretty much what everyone said. New Hope. Well, not you, but New Hope. Best one. But
I know. I actually thought everybody was going to be an Empire Strikes Back person, but
well, for me,
turns out
but
just-
at the same time, like very, very close runner-up was, and I hate to say this, but Return of the Jedi, for the simple fact that that was the first one that I saw. And I saw it in a movie
That's a
theater.
big difference then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's probably the
and I
first one I
saw
saw
it in a
too.
theater with
That's
my
your-
sisters
that makes sense.
and my brother-in-law. At the time, he was my sister's boyfriend. But it was like I remember seeing that. I remember seeing the Ewoks, and I remember thinking that was such a cool movie.
Oh yeah.
It is. And that's the
but-
thing, like, again,
Yeah,
4, 5, and 6, there is no wrong answer. I don't
Exactly.
think.
But
Yeah.
then when I went back and watched them, probably like as a, like 18, 19 years old,
Yeah.
like in college type of thing, and I watched them in order because it was before the next era that we're about to get into,
Yeah.
talking about. Before those came out, it's like, let's rewatch
You're
them
playing
just to make
catch up,
sure. And it was just like, yeah, A New Hope is, for me, from seeing them as an adult, was like, yeah, New Hope is the better of the three
It's good.
for me. So
Very good, no
I
doubt.
do love Jedi though. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's the
that's
breeze.
it.
It's the breeziest. It's
Yeah.
probably the one I'd turn on like in the background. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
as background noise while I'm doing something else.
All three are good. And you know where you can see all three right now? Disney Plus. Have you heard of this, guys? Have you heard of Disney Plus?
Bill, can you tell us a little bit about
Tell
this?
us more.
Well, Disney Plus has everything you've ever needed in a television. That's it. That's
Everything?
it. Everything.
Can I
We've ever needed?
sidetrack really quick?
Television, cinema,
what
whatever.
versions are on Disney Plus? Is it the original theatrical?
No.
Or Lucas's like, I'm gonna go in and redo some of these like animations and make it kind
It's-
of
It's probably all
cheesy.
It's
4K
those,
movies.
and they even added. Oh,
You know what I do have?
they
on,
added the Han shot first. They added to the Han shot.
They
first
added more to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, like Greedo says,
Terrible.
Like, McClunky or something.
McClunky. Yeah, it's actually.
It's just
I don't like it,
Very
but
weird.
whatever. It's weird. This is weird. Yeah.
It's
Because I've got a
more
box
beat in a
set
scene
that I
that
bought
didn't
in
mean
like
anymore.
97,
It still plays.
96.
Use that.
Yeah,
Watch
probably.
that from now.
But you can watch them all on Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
You know what I do have
Yeah.
though? On a hard drive somewhere or whatever. It's
We're
like,
not getting paid by that.
My
I wish
brother-in-law
we were.
actually gave me. There were these fan edits made off of like the original, like whatever they could find, up-resed and like it's in some instances recreated some
Yeah.
of the shots and cleaned them up perfectly. Recreated the original trilogy unedited in high def, in like 1080, So it's like they took the Blu-ray releases as like most of it, and then like the 20% that was messed with, they
Give
like
it back.
re-color corrected, or uncolor corrected, or they like like undid a scene, or like took a scene from a laser disc and up-resed it, and stuff like that. So it's like I
So
have
it felt like an original.
yeah.
And
So I
those
have like
people were never seen or heard from again.
right.
A
So I have-
completely different conversation.
I
is
allegedly have.
practical effects sometimes just look better. We can talk about that later.
So I allegedly have 1080 versions
Oh,
of the
yeah.
original theatrical releases.
That's good.
That's
That's
pretty
good.
That's cool.
All right, let's
Wait,
move
with
on.
a comment you made earlier, with the original title intro,
Yeah, with no episode 4.
chapter, or yeah,
just
episode
Star Wars right into the crawl.
I love that fact. 'Cause I really did not know that. I don't know if I've ever seen that version. I've only ever seen, I think, episode
Yeah,
4.
the only time they ever re-released it was in
Which is wild.
Laserdisc.
That's wild. Let's move on to oof. I mean, no, there's some good ones. Let's go to the what is known as the prequel era, episodes 1, 2, and 3. Who wants to start this one off with which of those is their favorite?
Okay. I'll go. This is Tony.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just start this off.
Do you always
again.
have to say this? I think they know it's you.
I'm gonna shut up, Bill. I'm gonna go ahead and go with none. I
Bold stance.
I'm just gonna go ahead and say it.
man,
A bold
jeez.
stance.
I can honestly say I can't think of anything I really enjoyed about any of them, except like there were parts of Darth Maul that were kind of cool, and it was cool that as a kid I never got a toy lightsaber, and a lot of my nieces and nephews got them, so I got to play with them and things like that. But like, there's not a whole lot of good that came out of those. I would say I don't know if it was the insane amounts of CGI that was bad,
Yeah.
and that we were so used to getting. I mean, there was CGI in the originals, but like the in-camera effects and the puppetry and things like that, which were really good. And then in this new one, where everything was CGI and it just wasn't good CGI.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of any of it that I really was like, oh man, that was great.
I wouldn't mind going next if that's okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
fine.
Okay. I'll admit, like they're not great. They're not great films, but I do enjoy each one, and it's weird for me to say it from this perspective, but for that excitement and anticipation that you get when you're looking forward to a film. And granted, the first one, Phantom Menace, was disappointing, particularly Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah, for sure. Really
God
annoying.
awful.
Yeah, it was a little out there.
But it was still.
What are you
it was
talking
still-
about, sir?
He needs to shut the fuck up, Bill.
It was still fun because of, and this is where my marketing had me. When I saw them put out that poster, that first movie poster before the Phantom Menace came out, and it was Anakin as a little boy, and it's just a nice shot of him in a sandy beach, like on a sandy, whatever. and then
Shadow.
his shadow's casted onto
Vader.
a rock,
Yeah.
and the shadow is Darth Vader.
That's a great.
I was like immediately sold from the fact that like, fuck, they're gonna tell this story of fucking Darth Vader coming to be.
Yeah.
And that's what I refer to where my excitement and anticipation leading up to these movies, because the first one, not good. The second one, meh. Revenge of the Sith, how dark it got, and how just the ending with the fight scenes and how he just completely turned. For me, it was like as a whole, and getting to that point of him turning purely evil, just so we know how Darth Vader became Darth Vader. That's what I enjoyed about him, and that's why I like the Revenge of the Sith the best.
I'm glad you said this because you're right. It is the best.
Love that movie.
It is the best of the three. I personally feel like I went in to see the third one with such a bad attitude after Phantom Menace and what was the Clones? What was the second one called?
Attack of the Clones.
Attack of the Clones. Because they were so bad.
It's so CGI.
And then going into the third one, I think I just had a shitty attitude.
Yeah.
And I just hated on it. You know what I mean? Because it was just kind of like, it pissed me off once, twice. The third one I didn't even see in theaters. I just waited because it was like one of those things where it's like, I'm not going to do this to myself again.
Yeah.
I've already done it twice.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is the best of the three. And I will say I can remember that poster too, and I was so excited and then totally let down.
Excited to see.
I know
like,
exactly the poster you're talking about. That poster's great.
That poster, from a marketing, like if we're gonna go down from a perspective of like best marketing like tactics ever, that is like
The shadow where you see the cape and the helmet of Vader.
It was just
That's
like
pretty cool.
Ooh, that just got your
doubt.
you just got
No doubt.
excited thinking what you were gonna see.
I have like a weird nostalgia for episode 1. You know what I mean? Like I won't ever defend it. Like if somebody starts ripping on episode 1, I'll be like, yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? But me personally, it's like a C+ for me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably because like Jar Jar Binks was really stupid and the droids were really stupid and but it had Liam Neeson, it had Obi-Wan as Ewan McGregor, which was
yeah,
cool.
it had some talent.
And the lightsaber fights were better than they were in the original trilogy, at least for me. And then it's like it had a lot going for it, you know what I mean? But like it was like it's not great. It's just not.
Right.
You know what I mean? It might not even be good, but for some reason 17-year-old me has I have a nostalgia for 17-year-old me hearing the Duel of the Fates choir music and just buying into the hype at the time, and I don't know, just me and my friends at the time. Like what was funny is a lot of people.
I collected those Pepsi cans, man.
There was no internet beyond like AOL Instant Messenger back then, so it was like people walked out of the theater thinking they saw something good. Mostly, like everybody, you went to school the next day and everybody's like, "Yeah, it was cool. I hope the next one's better." But you know what I mean? So it's like everybody was kind of convinced they saw something.
It wasn't
cool.
like the first movie, but
like,
it was good, right? Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, and then after a few months, it kind of settled in, and then by the time like a year had gone by, people were like, "Fuck that movie," you know what I mean? So I don't know. So I still kind of ride the wave of like how I felt at the time or something. You know what I mean? I don't know. By the time the second one came out, Attack of the Clones, it was like X-Men and Spider-Man and stuff like that had come out, and Blade and God knows what else that's cool. And then like that came out, and I was just like, what is this doing here? Get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? Get out of here, Star
There
Wars.
was so much better stuff happening at that point.
There was,
Yeah.
and when I finally saw it, I was like, "This is like a PlayStation 1 video game cutscene, like the whole movie."
Yeah.
You know? And like,
Well, the second one is
That's
the
my-
worst in the bunch.
that's my least favorite Star Wars movie.
I think so. 100%. I agree with that. I'm with you on the Phantom Menace because that maybe has the best title.
That kid's acting. Jesus.
The kid's acting. Okay. That aside,
You know
what
what?
is it?
Kid actors are better now than they were in the 90s
Sure.
as well. You know what I mean? Like
The
things
hy-
are different now.
Yeah, but what JT's saying, the
That shit's
hype behind that movie was, and this is it was almost at the time. When did Return of the Jedi come
Hey
out?
guys,
80
hey, wait.
83.
No,
83?
this is podcasting.
Yeah. Nah, it's pod racing. You scumbag. Anyway, no. So
Took 2 seconds for that to click.
I know.
was like, what?
I know what he's doing. It's funny, but I
It's
hate
not,
it.
it's stupid.
But it's funny. So it's all right. So it was what 15, almost 20 years since we had seen a Star Wars movie in general. So the hype behind that movie, and I remember that feeling of me, me and my friends, like, wow, we were Star Wars fans. Wow, oh, they're making an episode. What, episode 1? What? Oh, it's called The Phantom Menace. Oh, it's going to be about young Anakin Skywalker. All in. Sold. They got our money off of that, right? You see that poster. You said we're in. Darth Maul looked pretty damn cool.
Oh,
yeah. Still one of my favorite
villains. Never
villains.
seen a double lightsaber before.
That
We're all
still
losing our
might be.
minds.
That still might be one of the. It's tough. It's one of the better fight scenes. It's definitely the best scene of that movie. I love that. You have Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon Jinn. For those reasons, that one I like the best out of those three.
Did you
the
say,
best
did
lightsaber?
you just say Jim or Jin?
Qui-Gon Jinn.
Okay. I
might have said Jim.
thought you said Jim. Like,
But I meant Jin.
Qui-Gon Jim Belushi.
Jin.
or something. Like,
Qui-Gon
Yeah,
Jinn Belushi.
Because Earthworm Jim popped in my head right after he said it.
Apologies if it. Well, we'll hear it when hear it when we listen to it. I might have said Jim. I don't know.
Go ahead.
But I meant Qui-Gon Jinn and Juice. But yeah, the Liam Neesons. And I love that. I love seeing the young Obi-Wan. Another one of my favorite characters. So that was fun.
Yeah.
Darth Maul. Arguably one of the better villains in the whole franchise. He was a badass. That fight at the end, pretty great. It has some tragedy in it. You get a victory with Obi-Wan. It's pretty good all around. But as a whole, I don't know. Is it the best Star Wars movie? I'm not sure. Revenge of the Sith maybe has the best lightsaber fight that we've seen thus far. That one at the end of that movie, pretty good. They're fighting over lava. It's hard to beat that. And it's also a very dark film too. It gets
Anakin kills the little Jedi's.
That's dark. That's as dark as it gets.
Like, how can you?
He's murdering children.
I talked about Empire getting
we
dark.
move-
That's as dark as it's gotten. Yeah.
Can we move on to that one? Because that was actually
The Younglings. Let's do it. Let's talk about
All right,
Revenge of the Sith.
I love Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
I straight up love it as much as any of the best Star Wars movies. I'm not gonna lie. Phantom Menace, I'm giving like a little nostalgia pass,
No, I hear you.
and even though it's not great, Attack of the Clones I outright don't like. But Revenge of the Sith, I love. Like I love.
Yeah, I agree with you, 100%.
Because, like,
it was
it was
good.
the one where it was like George Lucas suddenly remembered how to direct. You know, it was like that push in shot of like all of the stormtroopers like feet stopping. You know what I mean? Like as they're about to murder the Jedi, the whole execute.
Oh, yeah.
Order 66 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was. And like,
Oh, that is a great scene. That's
what's
true.
his face?
Brutal, but
Ian.
McGregor.
No,
Oh,
Ian.
sorry.
Why can't I think of it? Okay, the guy who plays the Emperor. Let's just say Palpatine. It's like he was playing.
oh yeah.
You know, you saw little bits of Darth Sidious in the first two movies, but he was mostly the faking being nice Chancellor guy. You know, but by the time that movie, you finally got to see that Return of the Jedi version of him come back.
Yeah.
And just hamming it up, over the top villain, and it was just so awesome because that's like one of the best.
Yeah.
That's the best Star Wars villain, and like
Ian McDiarmid. I can't pronounce his name, but McDiarmid.
I'm gonna have to go back and give this another watch because
It's worth it. I honestly,
And you're right.
I gotta tell you,
enjoyed it
I've only watched it once. I've only watched it once. It wasn't in theaters. I was pissy and angry about the first two. So, maybe I'll give it another go.
Yeah, and what's his face is still not that great as Anakin, but like he's more tolerable than he was in the second one.
The second one,
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like he's an okay
Dude,
actor.
I always
but
want to
George
love
Lucas-
that dude as an actor, and it's always just like, okay.
It's like I don't know. It was like even good actors were having a hard
Natalie
time with
Natalie Portman. I think is a just great actor, but her performance in this just felt so dry, and I want to believe that it was just poor direction.
Yeah,
You
because
know?
it was also like I always felt like George Lucas was ahead of his time in a bad way with the prequel trilogy because most movies are made like that now, but back then like it was they were figuring it out as they went,
Yeah.
So it's like he was introducing this whole most of the movie is a green screen thing that most of the Marvel movies like are right now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But like everybody knows how to do it now and they know how to direct it now and all that
And
stuff.
the graphics just alone, like
They're
they're so real. They're so
Yeah,
real that
way
it's
better.
like,
People dog on CGI, but most movies are CGI and they don't even know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, well, the first, going back to how good they are now. I mean, first thing I watched with Disney Plus,
Would you watch it on?
Disney Plus,
Disney Plus.
was Marvel's Endgame. I'm just saying that's exclusively on
4K?
Disney Plus right now.
In 4K?
Inglorious 4K,
8K.
8K?
16K,
If you pay the premium, you could get 24K.
whatever.
24?
It's all just gold plated. It's real nice.
I got 48K. It was virtual reality. I watched the movie and it was pretty awesome.
So you got to play a character.
I got to play Thanos and it was pretty great.
Virtually, Sergio. Virtually.
All right.
I just remember watching like the beginning of Revenge of the Sith, and like it felt already more to me like he had his shit together. Even just the beginning scene where they fought Dooku a second time and Anakin chops his head off. It's freaking cool. When he's sitting there with the two sabers,
The two, yeah.
Because they let him pause right there with no music. You just hear the hum of the sabers.
Do it.
He's just got that angry look on his face. You know what I mean? Like, they stay in that wide shot. It's like, oh, yeah, he remembered how to make a movie since the last one. Thank God. So.
Yeah.
And it's and back to that's the one that I like the best of the three, and it was just like the timing for those dramatic pauses and really emphasizing the change, because you didn't see that change in Anakin in the second one. You saw like maybe
They
subtle
hinted at
hints,
it,
maybe
that it
subtle
was gonna
hints,
happen.
but the third one was like, I feel like I don't know if he planned it this way or it was just like, we need to cut to the chase with this one and really emphasize this switch, because damn, did he do a good job at really creating those dramatic
It did make
moments.
me want to see, as dark as it sounds, it made me want to see more. I always felt
More
like
kids dying.
well, not that part of it, but I
No,
felt
that's
like
not.
the ending
That's
was
what you
rushed
meant.
so that
You creep.
I wanted to see a whole dark Anakin / Darth Vader.
Well, good thing you
Movie.
got him in the following 3 movies.
He did, but I wanted to see a whole film of like, let me see the whole.
Oh, well, the way things are
give me
going.
90 minutes of Anakin going.
Yeah,
back.
the way things are going, you'll get one in the next
Maybe.
3 to 5 years.
Rogue One, you know
why I love that one. Should we move
He
on?
doesn't appear until the end.
That's a
Move
good.
on?
That's a
He
good.
doesn't appear until the end, and it's a badass scene.
He's halfway through. Also,
Hmm?
that was a
Oh,
good
all
scene
right.
too. Don't choke on your ambitions.
He's
I love that
All
scene.
right, all right.
Glimpse
But the
that.
badass scenes at the end. Anyway, all right. Let's your good segue. Let's move on to the most
segue.
recent 4 films, because now we have the lovely Star Wars stories that we have outside of the numbered sagas. So we're talking about episodes 7, episode 8, Rogue One, and Solo.
I'm jumping in right away, and I'm
Go
going to
ahead.
say that I love Rogue One. By far, it is probably the best of the current. Again, one of those situations where very close second of I really do enjoy The Force Awakens.
Okay.
Rouge One's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. I'm going to say Rouge One, Rogue One, whatever you want to say. And hold on. The simple answer is everyone dies at the end.
Yeah.
It's rare that happens in film. Everyone dies at the end.
I'll tell you what.
And I love that.
A lot of these
pretty
side
good.
stories that have come out have been so effing cool. And they're these little stories we didn't know we wanted to know. And then we got them and we were like, yes, I
Exactly.
needed to know this. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
who sent the message? Who helped? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
we saw the message, we knew where it ended up, but we didn't know what it took to get there. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that would be my vote, but I am going to agree with you that Rogue One is absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that movie was a blast. Every part of it was just fun.
You know what's funny is the first time I saw that movie, I probably gave it like a B-. I don't know why. I just walked in there and I just was like, that was pretty good, but I don't know if I need to watch it twice. And then when I finally did watch it twice, it just like clicked. And I was like, oh my God, this is like an A+. Like, holy shit. Why was I in a bad mood? I don't know. But like, I love that movie now.
Yeah.
You know, I love the guy who plays, I just keep calling him White Cape. I don't know I don't know what his actual name is, but he's played the businessman in The Dark Knight that got killed by Bane or whatever.
Yes.
Like that guy. So like he
And he's been in so many things lately. And I think he's a great
Great.
actor in general. But
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, no, he's awesome as the villain.
Yeah.
And
Looking him up.
bringing
He was
back
in,
bringing back Governor Tarkin was a little weird. What's his face? You know, like
As in
he was in
CGI,
Bloodline.
right?
He's a great
Wasn't
actor.
it?
He was in
Yeah.
Bloodline. He was
Yeah.
in Slow West. He was in
Bloodline, yeah, he
But
did
like
a great job.
CGI
Just the first season,
Second, he came back as a like a
like a ghost type.
CGI.
of
yeah. I didn't finish season 2. It was
Yeah.
terrible.
CGI Governor Tarkin.
Yeah.
That was a little out there.
Yeah,
You know, because that was like
but it still looked fucking real.
it did. It looked like him. It didn't sound like him though.
Yeah.
They could have got a better impression.
He's
of
in
him.
Mendelsohn as Orson Krennic.
Yeah. He's great, and I still don't know his name, even though you just said it. But like, he's been in a ton of good stuff.
Oh,
He's a
Ben
great
Mendelsohn?
actor.
Yeah,
Oh,
he's dope.
Good old Benji. Benji
No,
Benz.
he's great. No,
Yeah.
we do need to give him a shout out though.
And the girl was
Absolutely.
good too. I love the whole
Mhm.
cast.
Felicity Jones
Yeah.
dude. Like,
Who
I
would have
don't
been
know,
Black
like,
Cat if
we're
the
all, like,
Amazing Spider-Man movies
as
continued?
Jyn Erso, which is Jyn Erso's.
as much
Fucking
as
great.
I'm,
That's great.
yeah, as much as I'm like a fan of a good villain, that I lean that way a lot. I've got such a hero complex, and like everybody in this movie is like, you all know what's gonna happen,
Yeah.
but you're doing it anyway. You know that this is what you're going for, and it's just one of those things where you're just like, you're no matter what, you know that this is. You can't fail, and you know you're going to die trying, but you still go for it. Yeah, I mean,
It's almost like it's a sci-fi Saving Private Ryan in a way.
sure.
It is
That's
where
a
you
great
know you
analogy,
love
Bob.
all those guys.
And it's
You know
it's
all the
tot-
people. You know.
It is totally fan service and totally empty junk food that
Yeah.
didn't need to be in the movie. But when Darth Vader just cuts up
Oh.
the whole way of dudes,
Oh, sure.
that's so awesome.
Yeah.
It is. I've never cheered for a villain more in my life. But when you see that red, it's dark,
Yeah.
and that was so brilliant. When you see that,
Right.
just that red lightsaber lights everything
Yeah.
up,
That's
you're
when
like,
everyone was just like,
yes!
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody. You're cheering for him at that point.
Yeah.
You
I
want him
just-
to murder every buddy in that
I
ship.
just
at
I
that
just
point.
remember sitting in the movie theater and watching
so
it, like just watching the ending unfold, not knowing that like holy
Then
crap,
it leads up to episode
that
4.
They
Yes.
like they're literally taking this movie to the moment
Yep.
Yes,
that
that
episode 4 starts,
Yeah.
which to me was just like
Oh, they take it to help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's my only hope.
And like,
You
it,
know,
was,
they
it,
take-
was, it was just that moment where I'm sitting in the theater and I'm like, I did not expect that.
That's good.
I love this. It was way more than I was anticipating, and kudos for them to sit down and write. I would have loved to have been in that brainstorming session of like, all right, how do we want this movie to go, guys?
Yeah.
And like, it was just, yeah, to me that was a huge payoff. So
Moving on to Force Awakens, you know what I love about that movie is and that's a contender. It Solo inches it out just a little bit because I love that fucking movie so much. Because I love Indiana Jones, and that feels like an Indiana Jonesy kind of movie to me.
yeah,
But Force Awakens is nipping at its heels, and it's like, what was awesome about that is that we grew up knowing everything about the original trilogy. We grew up seeing the prequels, even though we knew how it all ended. You know what I mean? They could have introduced some character we didn't know existed or something, but for the most part, we know where it goes.
right.
Force Awakens, the marketing for it, I didn't even know Rey's name.
Yeah.
I knew that the guy with the hilted sword was named Kylo Ren, and I knew there was a black guy that used to be a stormtrooper. That's literally all I knew.
Yeah.
So it's like
That's all it showed.
yeah, that's all. So it's like
And that, do you remember the first time you saw the trailer?
yeah,
I remember just seeing all that sand, and all of a sudden, dude was just like breathing, and I let you see him like a stormtrooper.
Yeah,
and it's just
yeah.
like, holy shit, this is a Star Wars preview. Like,
Yeah.
had no clue that's what preview it was, and then just got the chills, and it was like, this is gonna be so good.
right,
Oh, it made me feel like a kid again.
yeah, and like
But J.J. Abrams is good at that.
Yeah.
Like,
is, he
he's
really
good
is.
at making you feel like a kid.
he cracked the Spielberg formula.
He knew the buttons to push.
Well, that was, like,
people-
Super
oh,
8, man.
explain this.
Yeah,
This is
like
good.
Super 8. Yeah, people
This is
have-
good. Go ahead.
People have tried to crack Spielberg,
Mm.
you know, and like, but they just don't. They only get like half of it right or some of it right or something. But it's like he knows that if somebody's holding a flashlight, you shine that flashlight directly at the camera so it makes a lens flare. You know what I mean? Like he knows all the little tricks that make something Spielbergian. You know what I mean? And like just gets those like nostalgia tears flowing and all that stuff. You know what I mean? And like it just gets you feeling like a kid again. You know.
Puts you in the adventure.
So he was the perfect choice to do it, and it's like a lot of people complain that Force Awakens like had a skeletal structure of a story that's too close to A New Hope, And that's true, I guess, but we kind of had to get back to familiar ground after all the insanity of the last bunch of years before that. Yeah. And the stuff that happens between said skeletal structure is totally new anyway. So, you know what I mean?
It's an outline, and that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was still really, really good.
And I loved being in the theater and seeing that Star Wars crawl and being like, I have no idea what's happening. You know what I mean? So it's like it was unfolding before me, just like my brain was like a computer trying to write down the information as fast as it could.
Well, especially doesn't that crawl start with like Luke Skywalker is missing or something like that?
Exactly.
And you're like, oh god,
oh, shit. He is.
Yeah, that first line, you're like, oh Jesus.
Because you see the prequel like opening crawl, and it's just like, the Trade Federation is not going too well or something. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? But like then it's like Luke's missing. It's what? I'm already on the edge of my seat. What? Oh my god, what?
Where's Luke? Tell me where Luke is.
You didn't know what happened, and I got the same feeling out of Last Jedi.
Yeah.
I was like on the edge of my seat the whole time because I'm like most people are angry that they don't know everything. I am excited that I don't know everything. You know what I mean? But
that's good.
And I love that Harrison Ford came back as Han Solo, and I love that he didn't phone it in. He didn't feel like
it was
Harrison Ford just collecting a paycheck. It was like, there's Han Solo again, like
for a little bit.
Yeah. Oh well, yeah.
Oh, shut up! I hate that movie. No, I hate that scene.
It's the worst part, man.
I know.
But still great. That's the hard thing. I know you kind of started, and I agree with you. And then we were talking about Force Awakens, but it's hard for me to pick one of those four. It's probably Rogue One.
Okay.
I will say I never planned. I planned on seeing Solo much longer after I saw it because I thought the trailer was just okay. The only reason I wanted to see it was because I'll watch basically anything that Donald Glover's in.
Oh yeah.
And the reviews were horrible.
And especially playing Lando, though.
Yeah.
He's great as Lando.
He's great as everything, but yeah, he was fun as Lando. He definitely was fun as Lando.
To the point where he even made a point to say Chewbacca.
Yeah, Chewbacca.
So good.
Han. But
yeah.
But
that's my.
And it got these really horrible reviews, and I'm kind of like, it seemed like a cash grab. It was like, there's all these. There's always. I heard nothing but bad reviews, but
it wasn't great when it came out. It wasn't
the
great.
reviews were not.
So then Mike Vanderbilt, a guy that he works at Daily Grindhouse, and we've gone up against him in 48s before. Yeah. He was constantly randomly posting about it. He's like, when did that come out? 2017 or 2018?
17.
Best film of 2017.
2018.
So, 2018.
Wow.
He kept saying it.
2018? Oh, wow.
He kept saying it. He kept saying it. I said, man, Mike's taste is a little out there. We're not on the same page, but he keeps saying it's the best film of 2018. And then me and you talk one day, and you're like, man, it is really fun and pretty underrated. And I'm like, all right. So I gave it a go, and I was like, it was so fun. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's another one of those things where it's like these little side stories or stories that we're getting that we didn't know we wanted.
Right.
But we're so glad we got them once we got them.
Yes.
Rogue One, Solo. Those are both I
agree.
But who wanted to see the Parsec run? You know what I mean? Who wanted to know where, it's like how we met Chewie. That was really cool.
I love the callback to, or call forward if you think about it, where Lando says, I hate you. And he's like, I know.
I mean, that's a perfect segue to go. That's my pick of the current ones. I love Solo.
That's my favorite.
And Tony, what you just said is every reason. I said earlier that Solo was my favorite character in the Star Wars universe. Definitely still is. And yeah, what do you want in a Solo origin story? You want to see, how does he meet Chewie? You get that. You want to see the Kessel Run.
Thank you, Kessel Run.
You get that.
And the ways that they did it didn't piss me off or make me groan or roll my eyes. You know what I mean?
Right.
They didn't say it. It wasn't a throwaway.
Right.
It wasn't like, oh, by the way, I did.
How does he acquire the Millennium Falcon?
Yeah.
You see that. You get that at the end, but you get that.
Yeah.
You get how he meets Lando. Okay. You get he has a relationship where if you know the story, you know that's doomed to fail from the begining. You know that, but you still, that movie still makes you care
You're still hoping
about, he's going to find.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't think of it. Kara.
Kira. Yeah.
Emilia Clarke plays her. She's great in it. But you get that, and you're still hoping for them to reunite, even though you know, but Leia. In the back of your head, in the back of your mind, you're like, no, he marries Leia. This girl doesn't mean anything.
Right.
But you still want him to find her at the end of this film. You know, you're still rooting for
I
that.
love toward the end. First of all, I didn't know going in that Paul Bettany was in it.
Yeah.
And like he brings like such a anger to that character who doesn't even get that much screen time, but like he's just a great villain.
He's great.
You know, like he's just one of the, I've said this on a different podcast, but he's the kind of guy who invites you in for like snacks, and he's like, "Oh, have a drink," you know, and then he's like, "Tell me why I shouldn't kill you." You know what I mean? Like, and then
who'd have thought Vision could be that vicious?
yeah, right. I love that. Toward the end, when they've all got blasters pointed at each other, and they've got the fuel and all that stuff, and it's just like, I've double crossed you. Well, no, guess what? I've double crossed you.
Yes.
Oh, well, no, guess what? I've double crossed you.
Woody
And they just
Harrelson
keep
is in it. Yeah, he's great,
layering
too.
it on top of each other. It's it's brilliant.
It is.
Yeah. It's just good
And then you
stuff.
get that little kind of little nod to, or the
See, they were planning on doing a
Darth.
Obi-Wan movie,
Yeah.
right? You know, and then that got
Yeah.
kind
With-
of put
that
on
would
the
have-
back burner.
that would have Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And I feel like that
would have Darth Maul,
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel like that side plot with
The
Darth Maul.
reconstructed Darth Maul.
Yeah, the whole Crimson Dawn thing. I feel like that could have been explored in that. You know what I mean? It would have been
An
like
Obi-Wan
rematch or
side
whatever.
movie would have been. I'd be in.
Because I mean,
I'd
like,
watch that.
I guess
That'll still happen.
the Clone Wars cartoon, which I never watched. Like, I never really got into side Star Wars.
Well,
stuff.
that's the
I never got
that's
into the
Ewan
EU.
McGregor years of Obi-Wan. You could still
Not
miss
even
him.
Caravan of Courage.
I never got into the EU like or any of that stuff.
You could bring
it's
him
always
back.
just fan fiction to me.
Yeah, you could have Ewan McGregor play Obi-Wan in a standalone movie in those years before he runs into Luke. That'd have been
Right.
great too. And perfect. Maybe
Yeah.
they still will.
So
Who
that would be
knows?
cool. Last Jedi. Anybody? Did anybody here hate Last Jedi? Because a lot of
I didn't hate it, but it wasn't
internet people hate that movie.
No,
or
it brought
something.
back.
No.
You get to see Luke as an older Jedi.
Yeah.
That was badass to
Yeah.
me. I wanted to see that since Return of the Jedi. I wanted to see Luke Skywalker.
I gotta admit, like, and this goes back to a good marketing ploy type of thing where I really enjoyed the way Force Awakens ends, and it, like, hints to
Yeah.
we're gonna see Skywalker in this next one.
Yeah.
So I remember being excited leading up to it. I didn't hate it. I was a little underwhelmed, but at the same time, I thought it was a good movie. It still got me excited to see what comes next. But I
Well,
didn't hate it.
I'll say that it's Ryan Johnson, which we've all talked about, or most of them talked about. We're a fan of.
We
as
love
far as
Looper. We love Brick.
Yeah.
So like when he
Yeah.
signed on, I was super excited, and me and you had talked about it. You're like,
Yeah.
well, he fucked up, and he's behind schedule, and people are mad, and this is that.
Yeah.
And I was like, holy shit, is he gonna take it off it? So like I was already thinking like, oh, this isn't gonna be great. And then I saw it, and I was like, I don't know what anyone's so angry about. I don't know if he lost
Yeah.
money or they were behind schedule, but like I still dug it. Like
No, it wasn't bad.
no,
Yeah.
I
wasn't
am
bad
torn
at all.
about the ending in that I really wanted it to be Luke there and not him
And not the
force projection.
Yeah.
Although I think that is a very cool twist.
and
I would have loved for them to fire everything they have at him, and he just
and he was able to stop
force
it.
blocks it.
Yeah.
Like that would have been like, oh shit, he's Master Jedi level. He's about to mess them up. Like to me, that would have been a little more badass than, oh, he was never there all along.
Right.
I get that it's more heady and clever that he was never there, and it's still a powerful thing to be able to project himself, you know, or a version of himself that far away, and it used up all his power, and that's what made him,
I think
become one with the Force at the end. I understand that, but to me, it still is a little more badass if he's really there,
Yeah.
and he's just taking on that whole army. But
I just feel like this is my little theory. Is I feel like there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there. Not all of them, you know. There's still plenty of people like us, but it's like there's a lot of Star Wars fans out there who are obsessed with the books and the video games and the extended
Oh,
universe,
yeah.
the EU. You know, and it's like I always just thought of it as like professionally published fan fiction. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it never felt like real to me. Like I tried to read 1 or 2 of the books when I was a kid, and I was just like, this is stupid. This reads like somebody who doesn't get Star Wars is writing Star Wars. You know what I mean? But everybody, most of those kinds of nerds love the books and all that stuff more than they love the movies.
Yeah.
Because like it fulfills their little like fanboy dreams of like, it's like, oh, Luke Skywalker is the biggest badass in the entire galaxy. He's like Goku times 5,000 or whatever, you know, and all that stuff.
Goku.
Dragon Ball Z.
Exactly.
But like,
I was lost.
I
was like,
Fair enough.
Did
Fair
I
enough.
miss this character? Was he in a different Star Wars?
I'm dropping a
What's
nerd
happening?
reference for nerdy people. So it's like, but it's like, you know, they're treating him like he's this ultimate badass, but it's like, go watch the movies. He was a whiny farm boy. He like was trained too late in Empire. He barely he didn't beat the Emperor or his dad. The dad needed to help him in Jedi, you know, and all this stuff. So it's like, yeah, he's cool. He's awesome. I've always loved him. He's the protagonist. But is he really the ultimate badass? Did you really think you were going to come and watch Luke Skywalker just like jump in and suddenly just like start like, oh, remember that video game when that guy like force made a Star Destroyer crash into a planet or whatever? It's like, were you expecting that, you know?
True, and what they've set up is that Kylo is really powerful. You know, as far as a Sith or a Jedi or whatever is concerned. I mean, he's in the first one, it's not the first one, but the first of these next 3. Force Awakens, he straight up stops like a laser cannon right in front of his face.
Yeah,
yeah. He sneaks a lightsaber past not the Emperor, but
Oh, Snoke.
Snoke.
Yeah.
Thank you, General Snoke.
That was another thing is people have all
As
these
Emperor Snoke.
people had all these fan
I don't even know
theories, you know what I mean? Like, oh, Snoke is Darth Plagueis.
No,
or
well, I love that.
Snoke
I love
is
that they just
an
like
Emperor
killed him.
clone. Yeah, exactly. They're just like, no, Snoke is Snoke and he's dead
was
now.
able to do that. So the thing is, what I think, like a subtle like thing that they're painting here is that Kylo Ren's actually a pretty. He's a badass, and he's pretty powerful. We're gonna get to see him, you know, go head to head with.
How do you know? Wishful
His-
thinking.
Dude, one last thing. I'm
What?
Wishful
like-
thinking.
I am
Well,
in
with Ray, and we've seen that in the
Hopefully.
trailers.
I don't know.
Ray.
Him and Ray are going head to head.
Ray has quickly become my favorite Star Wars character.
She's
of all
awesome.
Time.
She's
I
badass.
love her. She's
Yes.
awesome. And like, whatever they do with her character in the upcoming one, I'll be cool with because I'm just the audience member. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know everything. I'm just gonna
Right.
kind of watch it and take it in. But
There's a lot, and
I
also there's a
didn't mind-
lot of theories right now.
I didn't mind what they did in Last Jedi with her. You know what I mean? Like, because it's like everybody was like, oh, she's related to this guy. She's related to that guy. She has to be related to somebody, right? And they've got all these fan theories.
Not necessarily.
But like, I like that she is literally nobody. Like they said that in the movie. You know what I mean? They might go back on that. You know what I
They
mean?
might.
But
But
It
also,
could have been
that's
Kylo
fine,
lying.
too.
It could have been
Yeah,
Kylo
that's
lying
fine,
to
too.
her. Could have been.
I'm cool with whatever happens.
But if it's not, it could just be that the Force chooses. You know,
right.
who is, you know,
But it's like, you know, Kylo Ren says, "You're nobody. You have no part in this story." You know what I mean? It's
that
like,
could just
it's
be part of
so-
his play.
It's so harsh, but it's like, and then he says, "Not to me." You know what I mean? But it's like, I don't know. I like that
If
because
she is somebody's daughter, it checks out that plays to me that Kylo would tell her that she's not.
yeah, it kind of harkens back to like the original Star Wars before it became a saga, where Luke was just a farm boy. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He wasn't like
But
Darth
then
Vader's
he
son or
found
anything.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean his dad was still.
So
in
this
Clone
could be
Wars and all
the
that shit,
then
but still,
she
like,
finds out, right? Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll
I'm
see.
excited about it
I'm
either
excited
way.
to
I'm
see it.
excited that the Emperor's back because I agree with J.J. Abrams on this. Once I heard him say it, I'm like, yeah, you know what? You're right. He's like, I had to bring Palpatine back because if this is going to be a saga, if this is going to be episode 1 through 9, then he's the ultimate villain of the
The
whole
big
thing.
bad's got to go down once
Yeah.
and for all.
He's got to be there.
Maybe.
You know? So why not put that?
Maybe not.
Why not?
We don't know.
Why not put that capper on it? You know. So I don't know.
I like it.
So I'm sorry. Who's the director of this most current one?
J.J. Abrams.
It is okay. I just wanted to confirm that.
That's why it's gonna be fun.
Yeah. You know
Yeah,
what?
Man,
Yeah.
sad.
Well, because I always thought that JJ was the best choice.
Wait, are you still trying to
George, if you
This has been Kick Rocks Podcast. Two Drink
doesn't sound
Minimum.
like that at all.
Do you like Star Wars? I like Star Wars. I invented Star Wars. Tony, take us out.
Oh, this is me doing my Bill impersonation of Ray Romano. Chicka chicka bow wow cow now. Take us out and come and tell us all your comments in the comment sections. And yeah, now.
download and subscribe, you will. That is a terrible Yoda impression, but you get the idea. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Two Drink Minimum. We hope you enjoyed it. We hope you had some fun listening to us banter about some Star Wars. Go see that new movie, because we didn't talk about that. Maybe we will in a future podcast. You never know. Hopefully it's good. I would like it to be. Anyway, if you liked what you heard, if you want to hear more, you know where you can find us. You can go on our Facebook page. Remember to like and subscribe right from there. You can find this podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or any of your preferred podcast mediums. Thank you again for tuning in. This has been Two Drink Minimum. We've been drinking, thinking, and talking shop. Cheers, everybody.